Good evening, good evening. How are we doing? Checking connections in here. Want to be sure that everything is coming through. Looking at my Facebook feed, and yes, I think we are here. I still don't see myself, but here we are. Good evening to everyone. Excited to be here. Today we're going to have a special show for all of you. It's going to be about ayahuasca. There's a lot of interest in ayahuasca at the moment. And ayahuasca, it's been around for a long, long time. Part of the ways of the shamans from the rainforest of Peru, but also the rainforest from Colombia, the rainforests of Brazil, Bolivia, in Ecuador, and Peru. So basically all the countries that have exposure to the rainforest. This is a plant that grows naturally in the rainforest, and lately there is so much demand and interest for ayahuasca. So it's going to be a great show, but before we start, I just wanted to let you know that wanted to see if you guys enjoy our last show with Marcela Velasco. It was an amazing show. Marcela has so much information about the UFOs, and she captures these amazing pictures. You can find her in her website and her Facebook page, where she displays a lot of the pictures that she usually takes during her trips and visits to different sacred sites. We're not just talking about Peru, we're talking about sites like Egypt and Europe and different places in Mexico, places that she travels to activate portals and all of that. So you can find that. A lot of you were asking, where can we see these pictures? And you can go and find Marcela Velasco, Velasco, in Facebook, and you can get more information and see the amazing photos that she has. So I also want to do another announcement. Next week, we have an amazing shaman coming on board. Her name is Vilma Pinedo. And Vilma is the daughter of my good friend and mentor, Don Martin Pinedo. When I was in 1996, I was guided to meet Don Martin. Priorly, I had received the word wasao in my meditation, and this word was in my mind for 3 years. This was 1992, 93 when I got the word, and I was going everywhere looking with psychics and trying to figure out what this word meant. And many of the psychics that I visited with, they told me wasao has to do with a past life where you were a medicine man. And this was very interesting because at that time I was really looking into stepping into becoming a healer and starting to study that. And I was so excited when this lady told me that had to do with a medicine man and a past life as a medicine man. So I heard this word in meditation as clear as somebody talking behind my ear and saying wasao. So eventually I went back to Peru 3 years later, and it was 1996. I decided to go to Cusco because I wanted to meet with a shaman. That was my interest. And as I got to the airport, all the guys that were picking up the luggage at that time, the taxi drivers, were able to go into the baggage claim, and they will pick up your luggage. And you just have to follow whoever picked your luggage. But if you have two pieces, you will have like two drivers picking up your luggage. So I said, everybody will say, I'll bring you to Machu Picchu, I'll bring you to Pucapucara, Ollantaytambo, all these sacred sites. And I said, no. This time, I don't want to go to the sacred sites. I want to meet with a medicine man. And from 10 drivers in the room, in the baggage claim, there was a guy that came up and said, say, sir, he said from the back, I'll bring you to Wasao. And so that was the beginning of my journey. That was 2003 when I returned, but it was 1996 when I met Shaman Don Martin Pinedo, and I was brought there. And at that time, I met Vilma. And Vilma was 14 years old at that time. And so that brings me back to our next guest. Vilma is born in this family of shamans. And Vilma, her mother, comes from the lineage of Benito Curiguaman, who is one of the famous Wasao healers. And then Don Martin comes from Pacopata. His father was also a shaman. So she was born into a family of shamans. I was very lucky to being brought at that time in 1996. I was brought to Don Martin's house, and I met Don Martin. And eventually, I told my story of Wasao as this amazing story, but eventually I returned because I felt that when I met him, I wasn't ready to go deeper into the shamanic path. But 2003, I didn't have any excuses. So I went again to the airport in Cusco, and I was brought back to Wasao. I asked the driver to bring me to Wasao, and I said, I need to meet a shaman that I have met before. I can't remember his name. I don't know where he lives. And I said, but I need you to bring me there. And I know that Wasao is the land of healers, curanderos. And I know there's more than 40 healers in that town. So it was an interesting quest to find again this shaman. And he says, I know where to bring you. I'll bring you to the right person. And here we go. And I went back to meet with Don Martin. And I was back in the same house. He had a patio with animals. And I immediately remembered from 7 years before that was the shaman. And that's how everything started for me with Don Martin. That year was 2003, and I had received the Kriya Yoga initiation, prepared myself for 2 years to receive Kriya Yoga from Paramahansa Yogananda. So I was in a very ascetic in diet and taking care of myself, meditating 3 hours a day. So when I went to meet with Don Martin, I had been already initiated in July 2003 in Kriya Yoga with the disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda. And that was exquisite, extraordinary. It was one of the most amazing things that I did. But then that got topped off with going back and meet Don Martin, because I also met a Lama from Spain, Tashidorji, the Lama, and I have the picture here of the Lama. Yamyan Tashidorji, he's here. So my story goes pretty connected to the Lama that I have met him in 1997, 98. I went to Barcelona and met with him. And in this time that I met Don Martin, 2003, he brings up that the Lama was there. And I have never told him that I have met the Lama, but he was so intuitive and he was so amazing as a shaman that, the same picture as I was not responding when he was saying about the Lama and the Lama is here, I thought he was talking about the animals, the Lama. And I keep turning to the patio full of animals, and he finally said, this guy's not getting it. So he turned around, opened a drawer, opened his notebook, and put this on my face. He said, the Lama is here. So another big coincidence for me, 1996, the word was Sao, and this time was another confirmation of this shamanic path and the medicine that I had to embrace. So Don Martin mentions that the Lama is there, and eventually I go and meet the Lama. And Don Martin tells me that the Lama had gotten an amazing initiation with him. And I'm saying, wow, the Lama has gotten an initiation and a healing from Don Martin. So that really piqued my interest. And then I ended with the Lama. And the Lama said, I give you my blessing. Go to the same mountain I went, and the flying saucer stone, and go with Don Martin and get your ceremony, because Don Martin offered me to do a similar initiation and ceremony as the Lama. Of course, to me, Don Martin gave me a third eye to third eye initiation, was a Hatun Karpai that kicked my shoes, my socks, and sent me flying up in the sky. And I had to look at my feet after sitting on a rock next to the abyss and looking into the valley in the where the river of Purimac is down at the bottom. I was in Araipaita, looking down and feeling that I was flying. So literally, I was able to tap into an extrasensorial experience. So I shift my consciousness, my awareness, and that's where everything started to me prior initiation with Kriya Yoga. So after that, there was no way to stop with Kriya Yoga, with being initiated in the Andean cosmology, and that's how I continue in the path that I started. So here we are, and as I said, Vilma Pinedo is coming next week, and she is the daughter of Don Martin and Doña Maria, and we have a great interview coming up. And she was born off the lightning, as her mother got hit by lightning, and while she was pregnant with Vilma in the belly. So Vilma is blessed by the lightning, and that's her power, her word, and her strength. She was blessed by the lightning as a shaman in the belly. So Vilma is going to be next week with us, and that's going to be exciting. And today I'm going to roll into our conversation, and I want to start talking about ayahuasca and safe ayahuasca. In the last years, I would say in the last 15, 20 years, ayahuasca has become extremely trendy. And there's a lot of interest on many, many people around the world as a spiritual practice, as going within with medicine plants, not only ayahuasca, but many medicine plants. And in many religions, in many spiritualities, the use of detoxifying plants in medicine plants like Ayurvedic herbs have been used by many, many, many healers, gurus, sages, and shamans to detox the body and to purify the body, which at the end gets a pineal gland activated. It's easier for the pineal gland to activate. In one of the cases, I started following the movement of Bhagavan Kalki while I was living in Los Angeles. And some of my friends did the 21 process with him, the Diksha process, and went to visit with the Oneness University in India. They received the training of 21 days with him, and they mentioned that they had to do some processes of taking Ayurvedic herbs and drinks that would create altered states of mind. So I know that through these processes, many people were able to touch upon their wounds and let go of many things. And that brings me back to thinking that a lot of the different spiritualities have been totally influenced by the practice of ingesting medicine plants, hallucinogenics, natural medicine plants that create these altered states of consciousness that eventually open up the Kundalini energy, because that's what happens with ayahuasca. Most of the people that go to the rainforest or work with shamans that come from Peru to the United States and in Europe, they ask the question to the shaman and say, hey, listen, I want to have that dead experience. I want to die and go into the light. And literally the shaman, who is the one that is a good shaman, will say, well, the plant will decide. It is not for me to decide what's going to happen with you, but the plant will decide. So people that have done their work, inner work for years, have worked with their shadow self, when they go into a sacred ceremony of ayahuasca, they are able to really run the energy of ayahuasca through the spine, because it activates the Kundalini. So if the person is open and they have worked all their issues, they easily can go out to the third eye directly and open and have this very magical experience of being eaten by one of the archetypal energies that we have in the rainforest. These energies, for the most part, the ones that eat people, are three of them. And that's why these are precious in the mythology of the Inca. We always see the snake at the bottom, then we see the jaguar on top of the snake, and on top of the jaguar we see the condor. This is the trilogy. the trilogy of the sacred archetypal energies that we have in Peru that are deeply connected to the shamanic work of the shamans in the rainforest. So is the Sachamama, which is the snake. Then you have the jaguar, the black jaguar, which is the female jaguar, which is black. And then we have the other one that will be the eagle or the condor. For some people in the rainforest, they work with the eagle. They don't work with the condor because it's a cultural thing. There were, during the Inca Empire, the Inca was not able to bring in the people from the rainforest. So they always saw the Andean people as the enemy. So the enemy was a condor, and the eagle was the rainforest people. So most of the time is the eagle, the jaguar, and the anaconda, which is called Sachamama. So during many years, this has been of the way of life for the native people in Peru, doing their ayahuasca ceremonies. That is a way that they connect with the divine. And most of the Incas and the people that rule in Peru prior to, the conquest and the Spaniards that came to Peru to colonize, the Incas and the Mochica, the Moche, had special ceremonies to activate them, to activate the third eye, so they could be connected to the divine, connected to God, so they could rule the country, rule the Inca Empire or the Moche Empire by being open and being connected to the divine. The goal was that the Inca always will be offered these sacred initiations that they had in the Moche and the Inca with magic plants, these magical plants. So they will be beings that will rule from God directly in connection with the divine. So, for example, in northern Peru, we have Huachuma San Pedro, the San Pedro cactus, and I was very lucky to also did 7 years of training and mentoring with the twin shamans, Dona Isabel and Doña Olinda from Chiclayo, from northern Peru. They are originally from Huancabamba, and they come from the sacred lagoons of Las Huaringas. So for 7 years, I worked with them, and these sacred initiations were offered. They offered these sacred initiations and activations of the pineal gland. But this was initially reserved for the Incas. It was reserved for the Moche rulers. And we see this upon all the sacred sites in Peru. If you are in Machu Picchu and you go to the Temple of the Sun, you see that in the winter solstice or the summer solstice for us, in Peru is winter solstice, the Temple of the Sun, the first lights that come from the east into the Temple of the Sun, they hit that window. So there's a window in that tower. There's a window, and below the window there's a slanted rock that goes in diagonal. So this rock is a ceremonial rock where the Inca will lay down. He will rest with his crown chakra facing the solstice light. And this is what I intuitively get, is that the shaman or the Paco, the ceremonial priest, the Alto Misayok priest, will do an activation and activate the crown chakra and the pineal gland for the Inca. So the Inca can be enlightened, it can rule better, can rule from a place of the heart, from the place of connection with the divine. This is how many of cultures have always done. We see that as well with the Egyptian culture, which is very similar. The ways of their burials in the pyramids are very similar to the people in northern Peru and the Moche. We have many pyramids in the Moche culture, which is prior to the Incas, and I feel that is even stronger than the Incas. The Inca borrow a lot of information from the Moche Chimu culture, but they are not as popular because their buildings and pyramids were made of adobe. They were made of mud and ceramic, right, and clay. And through the times, this clay and the pyramids have deteriorated. But when you see the burials, Señor de Zipan is an amazing burial that when people go to this particular tomb that was discovered and cleaned by Japanese archaeologists, is fascinating what you see inside. Much comparable to the Egyptian pyramids and the way that they bury the emperors and the Tutankhamons, like with all their servants and their food and their gold and everything. The regalia that the people from Señor de Zipan and also Señora de Cao, which is a female that was buried, and it was a ruler at that time from the Moche. They were buried in the same manner as the Egyptians. So medicine plants have always been very connected to rulers in Peru and activations by the Alto Misayocs, by the great shamans, to activate the Inca so the Inca could rule from the heart, could rule from a place of the divine. So that he could be the seer, he could see the future, can anticipate, can receive the oracles, can connect at that level with the divine and receive all these messages ahead of time so he could rule better for his empire, for his people, and his community. So ayahuasca has become like the trend. And as a trend, there have been many movies that talk about ayahuasca. I think there's a movie by the title The Reality of Truth recently done, where a group of people go to Peru and do ayahuasca. Deepak Chopra is in the movie. And then at the end, they bring the plant to Costa Rica. So they have exported the plant to Costa Rica, a group of businessmen that are doing this. And the plant right now has been exported and is growing in Costa Rica, is growing in Hawaii, to safe places. There are some interesting people offering ayahuasca in Costa Rica and also in Hawaii that are very deep, and they do this quietly in these two places that are very magical. So the magic of the plant has found deep roots in these sacred locations in Hawaii and also in Costa Rica. Ayahuasca is now being imported, and ayahuasca, for the ones that don't know, ayahuasca is a sacred brew that is created by a vine called ayahuasca, the vine ayahuasca, and also the visionary herb or plant or leaf called chacruna. These two elements are mixed together. The ayahuasca is banged until the fiber of the vine is broken down, and then is cooked in water, 15 gallons of water, and then it is reduced into a syrup. So the vine has the property of blocking an enzyme in the liver. So the chacruna, which is the visionary part of the plant, can go through the system and create DMT and goes straight into the blood system and then goes straight into the brain, into the pineal gland. So that's how it works, and that's the property. So it's a combination of two plants, and you will say, how was this discovered? Who told these Peruvian shamans in the rainforest to combine these two plants, right? But this is all over the rainforest. I mean, if you look at the Amazon rainforest between Brazil and northern Colombia and a little bit of Venezuela, you see that the region is huge. And all of the region have different shamans, and they call ayahuasca in different ways. In Brazil, they call it Santo Daime, and they actually have a church. In the United States, Santo Daime is a Christian church that they do ayahuasca, and they do it as a Christian mass, but as an ayahuasca ceremony, and every other participants take ayahuasca and have this experience. So the combination of these two herbs are offered in Peru in sacred locations, in sacred centers where there are shamans that prepare this medicine, and it's very important that these ceremonies are done in a very responsible way. So one of the things are very important in ayahuasca ceremony is, number one, is a shaman. The shaman has to be a trained shaman, usually people that have done the training with a shaman in the rainforest. And for this process, the people in the Amazon, the people in Peru, the people that I trust, that I work with, are the herbalists. So it's called Ayahuasquero Herbalista. The Ayahuasquero Herbalista is a person that has a natural talent for connecting with energies and for seeing, and they go into going in for training with rainforest shamans. And the training requires that the disciple goes, and it's kind of like going into the Himalayas, into the cave, and stay there until you talk to God. So it's a similar in that sense, where the person that trains as an ayahuasquero herbalista has to do 9 months of dieting different plants. So that person goes with his master and goes into the deep rainforest. And in the deep rainforest, they find a space, and the shaman, the mentor shaman, guides the student into building his own hut, his own little cabin, so he can be exposed to the elements. Actually, it's just a platform with a roof for the rain, but it's fully open. So, and the training has to do with fear, to conquering fear. And at the beginning, the shaman in training, the herbalista, has to do 9 months per direction. Okay, so he does 9 months to train, but before he even drinks ayahuasca, he has to work with different plants that the shaman mentor has to give him. He has to tell him, this is a plant you're going to be working first, this is the next plant that you're going to be working second, so you can detox and start working your physical body to be able to receive and to be able to open your third eye. So the process is not just going ahead, drink ayahuasca, and you're enlightened. It's not like that. It's, as I said, it's a way of life for the Peruvian people. And when they go into the rainforest, they drink the brew later on in their training. First, they have to diet many different plants. And after they diet many different plants, they go in and then they work with ayahuasca. And I was very lucky to meet a great ayahuasquero herbalista, an herbalist by the name of Maestro Panduro. He recently died in the last 3-4 years, which was really sad, but he did the training, and I was lucky to translate for him for a big group in the rainforest, translate his story. And it was so vivid for me. I literally, as he was telling the story, I was seeing him working with ayahuasca, and he said that it was very difficult for him because he was trained as a military. He was trained in the military, so he was very left-brained, all about orders and the facts, right? This is black, this is white, and this is what you do, and this is how you move, and he was a military-trained person. So even his Icaros, which are the songs, were pretty much very military. Ta-tan, 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 ding, ding, ding. It was very martial, very martial. It was very interesting to see that influence in this Maestro Panduro, this amazing shaman. And one of the other things that he had was that he had a pipe all the time. He would smoke tobacco. And when he would work with 50 people at the time, and he will suck energies. He was a professional extractor of energies. He will go and see everyone, and use the pipe to bring in all the attachments, the suffering of people, and throw it out. He had that pipe as a vacuum cleaner. That's what he was doing. But Maestro Panduro trained, and he trained as an herbalista ayahuasquero for 4 years. He even said that his fourth direction was like almost 5 years. It took him. It was a very long long time. And he mentions that once the mentor left him in the rainforest, he had some of the homework that he had to do was to work 7 different paths from his hut all the way out in all these different directions. And he only had a machete, and he had to walk through the rainforest and through the diet and dieting the plants that he will be instructed by the dieting plants, by the spirit of the plants, because the medicine in the rainforest is not just ayahuasca. Tobacco is the number 1 medicine, then ayahuasca. And then there's thousands of different plants and medicines that the people of the rainforest diet. They go into a diet and they diet a plant for a couple weeks, and they also go into doing fasting. So when they do that, they are able to open their pineal gland, and then they work with ayahuasca. And every plant has a spirit, and every magical plant or healing plant has a spirit. And the plants start teaching directly the student. So Maestro Panduro said that was incredibly difficult for him at the beginning. And I believe that was a direction that took him almost like a year and a half to complete, because he had to override his military training and his left brain to move into his right side of the brain, and that took some time. But during one of the visions, he was told to go and do the hardest of the 7 paths, which had a lot of thorns and a lot of bushes with thorns, and he could see that at the end, there were some big trees. And in his vision, by doing the fasting, he was told that there was going to be a big tree that would reveal everything to him. And he was pretty tired and pretty overwhelmed, because he'd been working for 7 months and nothing had happened. It was only a couple dreams, a couple things, and then he finally goes in this other path with the machete and start going and moving through these big sections of, the trees that had so many thorns. He was cutting himself and basically giving up until he said he had to sleep there in the open until he finally got to the tree. When he got to the tree, he said, "Okay, I'm here now, talk to me." And the tree didn't talk to him, because he needed to change his perception and go into the heart to get the download from the tree. And the tree, for the first 3 days, nothing happened. And then on the 4th day, he was doing ayahuasca and waiting for the teacher to appear. And suddenly, he was so get things done, left brain and all of that the tree drops a branch on his head and knocks him off. And it's in that moment that he goes into an altered state of consciousness, and he's able to meet his teacher that would eventually teach him through the other 3.5 years that he had to complete. So this is the training of the herbalista ayahuasquero. It's a fascinating training. I know people, and I have trained and gone to the rainforest to do some work with Maestro Juan Flores in Mayantuyacu, which is a beautiful and amazing place. His Maloca and Healing Center is nestled in right at the birthing of the Boiling River. And you can probably research the Boiling River. Andres Russo, the son of a good friend of mine from my classroom at school, he's an amazing kid and did an amazing work with this river. As I think he's a geologist, and did an amazing video. You can find it in the internet. Andres Russo, the Boiling River. And the Maloca of Maestro Juan Flores is right there in the Boiling River. This is a place, a volcanic place. So the ground and the rocks in the river are volcanic and they're white. So if you can only imagine being in the rainforest where the water is emerald green, as if you're in the Caribbean. That's how beautiful it is. And when you see that, it's incredible, magical, and the water is boiling. So there's vapor everywhere. So it's very mystical. It's like going back to paradise. So Maestro Juan has this place called Mayantuyacu, and he received people. So I did some training with Maestro Juan, and he actually certifies people in the study of ayahuasca, trains people to become ayahuasqueros, and people go there, and depends on their training. There's not a set in stone timing. It depends on the student. The student can learn and can achieve the learning in 4 times, 5 times. He can go to the rainforest. Usually it's a month that they do the training. It's a more direct training directly with maestro and maestro guides, all the fasting and dieting that the student takes. And when the teachers appeared, is undeniable because every plant has a teacher. And the teacher is known by all the shamans. So when you say, I fasted and dieted Chihuahuaco, they're going to tell you, how does Chihuahuaco look? And you have to say, well, he's 2 meters tall, he has a brown hat, and he's dark in skin. And they say, okay, that's right, that's Chihuahuaco. So he's teaching you. You say, yes, he's teaching me. So that's when you start establishing the connections with these multidimensional beings. In some cases, they are shamans that have worked with the plant. And in some cases, there are multidimensional beings from other dimensions, very high vibrational beings that come during the ayahuasca ceremony and are known as the tall beings. They're like 2.5 meters, 3 meters. So when the person is doing the training, they get to know these different mentors, different teachers that are connected to particular plants. For example, we met Don Eduardo during our stay, and he was taught by the plant El Piñón. El Piñón is a fruit that is a red burgundy fruit. So Piñón look like it's a short, husky guy that is no more than a meter and 20 centimeters. He's short, and he's husky and walks like this, kind of funny, but he's all red. So that's Piñón. So, every teacher of every medicine plant is the particular teacher of that plant. So for the shaman that, like Maestro Juan, that will certify somebody, he will ask you those questions. So if you know the teacher, if you have met with the teacher, then he's going to definitely ask you the questions and know that you did and you are in the right track. So that's a training that many of the shamans in Peru do with people that come to the rainforest and study with them. And it's a fascinating training, and it really shifts the states of mind, states of consciousness. That is fascinating. It's really fascinating. The plant, one of the problems that we have, that the plant has been commercialized way too much. When I started and in my path, my first initial steps in the shamanic path, I was lucky that a good friend of mine, musician Abelardo Kendo, was doing ayahuasca ceremonies with Don Agustin Rivas in New York City, in Manhattan. And he called me because Don Agustin was there. He had been coming for a couple of years. He said, in my ceremony, I am being told by the plant that I need to go to Los Angeles to promote ayahuasca because the medicine needs to do a lot of healing in Los Angeles and bring people then to Peru so they can work and diet with me in the rainforest. So Don Agustin Rivas started coming to the States early when I met him. I met him in 1993. My good friend that was in New York, they had a ceremony in New York, and then Agustin told my friend Abe, he said, Abe, listen, I am being told that I need to go to Los Angeles, and you have some friends, so give me some names, right? And then he said, yep, that guy Pierre, that's the one I need to go with him. So I brought him to Los Angeles, and we did one ceremony the first year. The next year, the word just got out when he was coming back, and eventually, at that time there were almost 500 people coming and seeing Don Agustin during that time. So for me, it was awesome because I started as a coordinator, helping him. And at that time, there was no phones, no cell phones, there was no internet. So everything was by telephone. And so 3 or 4 people that came on my first ceremony, they started spreading the word. And then the next ceremony, and more people started spreading the word. In no time, there were like 500 people in my mailing list. And in the last year that I worked with Don Agustin, before he returned to the rainforest and asked everybody to go there, we saw 500 people, like 50 people per ceremony, 10 ceremonies. And symbiotically, I was introduced into the helping the shaman in ceremony by moving feathers, by blowing tobacco in the chakras, by doing some sound, and learning his ways of working with sound. And I was very lucky because ayahuasca gave me an incredible vision that lasts forever. I still have it so close to me. And that pretty much defined what I'm doing right now, which is sound healing. I started working with sound healing, and it is completely amazing because during that ceremony, I being the coordinator, I have to take ayahuasca, but I have to keep my eyes open because I need to take care of everybody when they were purging and all of that. So we have everybody with a bucket, but if they needed to walk to the bathroom, I had to help them and that kind of thing. So some in a trance, getting in a trance, and I have my eyes open looking at everyone. I see that Don Agustin starts singing, and suddenly the plant gave me this beautiful vision. And I started seeing threads of light coming out of Don Agustin's persona from the heart. I could hear his sound, and I could hear it very clearly, but I can see the waves moving through the room. People are in circle. I was at the other end, and I was sitting in a yoga lotus position, and I'm seeing the vibration and the streams of light moving as a tapestry, as a blanket of color, and it's moving all with this beautiful low voice that he was doing, is moving through the room. And I am seeing the waves coming and coming closer to me, and when they come, you could feel it. So that vision, that visual came with a feeling, okay? And with that feeling, I was able to see and look at everybody reacting when the vibration touched them. And people were just, smiling and feeling in the heart the vibration that was coming to them. So that was an amazing realization for me because for the first time, as a musician, I've been doing music for many, many years, I was able to see the threads of light coming from the shaman. And I could see ayahuasca, and that was a beautiful, beautiful gift. So I saw through the entire, that particular ceremony, I was able to see the vibration coming from the shaman. So when he was singing, for example, if you were to do a crystal ball sound, and you do an om, and you have the low vibration, that will be a very soothing wave that will go up and down and navigate very slow, up and down, and moving really, really slow. When he played the harmonic, okay, you could see the transients, very pointy sound waves going up and down, up and down, up and down, very fast, very fast. And also when he was doing the rattling will create another kind of vibration that will bring dizziness. So the rattle, and I'm going to do a little bit of the sounds if I can. Let's say I have a rattle here. So the rattle, that circular sound of the shaman with the rattle will create this variación. So variación will be feeling like drunk, feeling uneasy. You start feeling uneasy and feeling like, whoa, this stuff was starting to brew and to come out. So it will activate the purging. So people will start feeling, when he will start doing the rattle and singing, you will start seeing people, you could start hearing the sounds in the room that people were moving. But when he played the harmonica, okay, that was the mega fire. He played the harmonica. That's what would get people to throw up and to purge. So I saw the amazing mastery of Shaman Agustin Rivas working with sound. So his work with sound as a phenomenal musician that he is. He played the flute, the drums, the rattles. He sang, and he did healing. He would play with one hand and moving the feathers with other. Here and there, he would call me to move the feathers as we walked together in the room. I helped him doing that, not knowing, but he was introducing me to the shamanic work. And it was very powerful, very, very enlightening. So during that time, I was very lucky. That was 1993, 94, 95. I was very lucky to have a teacher like Agustin Rivas that taught me, gave me my first experience of ayahuasca. We did many ayahuascas in Los Angeles. Many people probably that came with me. I mean, I have disconnected from LA. I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years. But many people that know me probably remember that time when Agustin Rivas was coming in 1992, 93, 94, even 95. So those were my first steps in the world of shamanic world, which was quite extraordinary. So it is really important, this connection, as I was saying, to work with a real shaman, to work with a shaman that has been trained. In Peru, the herbalistas train for 9 months every direction. So you're talking about almost three years and a half to become an herbalist, to become a seer. With Maestro Juan, because of the intense training that he does to certify people, then they learn in a shorter time. People stay with him for 6 weeks every time they go. They return at the end of the year, beginning of the year, end of the year, the following year for 2 years. And then they get, they are proven that they can see, they work with all the teachers. And they have fasted with so many different plants. So it is really important that when you work with an ayahuasca ceremony, you have to be in a safe environment. So safe environment means a real shaman, a real trained shaman. And that's number one. Number two, the shaman needs to open sacred space and sing the Icaros that are the accompaniment of the beings that come through the ayahuasca ceremony. So the Icaros are the chants, right? But first I want to talk about sacred space. When the shaman starts the ceremony, he brings the medicine, and the medicine, it has to be blessed. And the medicine is blessed with tobacco. Tobacco is the number one medicine of the rainforest. And it is also tobacco, one of the most important medicines for Native American people in the States. And that's for a reason, because when we use tobacco, we call the ancestors. The shaman calls all the beings that came before him that work with a medicine plant. So he asks for permission. Inhales tobacco and blows the tobacco in the plant, in the ayahuasca that is going to be offered to all the people, right? So that is really important, because as the shaman does this, he's activating the medicine plant. And when the plant is activated, then it can have greater effects. In other words, when the shaman is doing his prayers and opening sacred space, he is raising the vibration of the group. He's holding space for everyone that is in the group. He is praying. He starts singing the Icaros, which I'll explain later. And then it starts bringing this high vibrational space, protecting, and he's protecting the surrounding maloca. The malocas are for almost everywhere. They are oval or round. Okay, they have a circular. It's a circular building where usually in the rainforest is open, So you have a roof, and then it's completely open, and the ceremony is offered in that place by the shaman, the trained herbalist that work with the medicine plant. So when they open sacred space, they invite all their teachers, the teachers that are responsible and that come with every single medicine plant, with a chihuahuaco, with piñón, with any other uña de gato, with any sacred plant from the rainforest. All of them have their own teacher. So when they're working, the maestros, and usually the ayahuasqueros are called maestro. Okay, the maestros will bring in the people, the shamans, the medicine men, and also the multidimensional beings to come and teach and offer healing and awakening through the process of ayahuasca. So sacred space is really important. And I remember I had an opportunity to meet with Manuel Almendro. Manuel Almendro is a psychiatrist from Spain, has written many books about ayahuasca. And he will say, I gone to many ayahuasqueros with the shipibos, with many people in the rainforest, and I love the people that I love the most after training with them and visiting with them and doing ceremony with them are the people that sing Christian songs, that are very devoted. They have a little virgin on the side, they have the Christ on the other side, and they sing the Christian songs here and there because that creates a devotional space for them, and they feel very connected to the divine in that manner. So Manuel Almendro, also trained ayahuasquero by Maestro Juan Flores, and by many others. He that's what he usually say, that will bring for him an element of safety, that he was in a very safe and guarded space. Why is that important in an ayahuasca ceremony? In ayahuasca ceremony, you have to be very sure that you are protected, because when you take the plant, all your chakras are going to be fully open. And in ayahuasca, the same as in this world, in 3D world, we have thieves and we have policemen and we have people. There's all sorts of people in the earth. And in the spirit world, there's all sorts of people as well. You have the curanderos, who are the herbalistas, the ones that have gone into being ayahuasqueros because they had a calling from God. They had a call to help people heal. They had a call to clear and cleanse people. They had a call to make shamans and pass this tradition to many people. But they don't do it as an act of ego. They do it as an act of service. This is a curandero. Then the other guy that is getting into ayahuasca, into using washuma, those that are really not so great are the sorcerers. In Peru, we call them brujos, and they are really connected to the other side. So they connect with the darkness. So in that invisible world, there is the angelic world, and then there's the demonic world. And the souls that have not transcended, and they are there to work with creating evil and created different things for other people. So it is so important that when you go to a shaman, that the shaman has integrity, is somebody that opens his heart, is in love, and is not someone that is in the quest for power. Because in the quest for power, they're not shamans, they are sorcerers, brujos. Those guys are just there to hit someone, and then whenever they can knock somebody down with psychic attacks, they take their power, they hit them so they can take their power, and they become more powerful. And that's the name of the game for them. And in that arena is always the same final. All of those that seek power, at the end, they have one of the most ugliest deaths ever. Okay, because a sorcerer will play all these magic tricks and they die, but awful. So again, the shaman is really important. The integrity of the shaman is important. You need to feel and discern before doing ayahuasca with any shaman that the shaman is somebody that has been doing ayahuasca and is very peaceful, very loving, is very mellow, is very, you feel a nice vibration from them, because integrity is one of the most important things with a shaman. Okay, so the next thing in the ceremony is the Icaros. So what is the Icaro? What is really the Icaro? The Icaro is the chants that the ayahuasqueros, the shaman ayahuasquero sings during ceremony. Okay, and the Icaros are songs, but these songs are very, very unique because the songs are given to the student by the teacher. Okay, an Icaro serves as communication, is the calling. So the teacher gives this song to the student. So a student that is training to become a shaman, an ayahuasquero, learns directly from the spirit world through the Icaro. And the Icaro is given to him by the shaman, which means that once you receive the song, and let's say the shaman give you ayahuasca chacrunita, 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 limpia, limpia, chacrunita, de 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 de. Let's say, for example, that that's the song, right, that the shaman has received. That's the way that he communicates with the spirit of this particular teacher when he calls him, because the Icaro serves as a cell phone. So it's like, okay, this is the Icaro, here is the Icaro, this is my number, call me. So the student, the shaman, calls the teacher in the spirit world by singing the song, ayahuasca chacrunita, limpia, limpia, chacrunita. As soon as he starts singing the song and coming into that devotional space and that connection with the teacher, then the teacher will appear in the ceremony. Some people are able to see them, some people don't see them. Okay, but that is the purpose of the Icaro. The Icaros are chants given by the teachers to the shaman, and every Icaro has a purpose, has a design. The shaman uses the Icaros as well to control where the participants go and where they come back. So with the Icaro, they allow them to go and fly, but then they call them back. They will them in, they will them back, because, it's a process. It's a wave process. Now you go out, and they allow them to take out, and sometimes people go too far, and then he wills them back by calling them and grounding them, by using different instruments like the drum, or by using their voice with different Icaros. He calls them back so they can come back to the body. So this is the movement of ayahuasca. Ayahuasca goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, and it starts moving. Of course, you see all these kaleidoscopic situations that happen. If you're more fortunate, you will see, that the condor or the eagle might be picking at you and is destroying your ego. So when you are eaten by the condor, you might go into the light and have that light experience. Or it might be that the jaguar just jumps at you and eats you, or the fangs of the anaconda starts just biting you and eating you, right? So this is one of the most sick experiences from many people, is to have this death kind of experience, as the ayahuasca is the vine of the soul. So the vine of the soul allows the student, the people that do ayahuasca through the many sessions, to learn the path of no fear, to learn how to master having no shadow, being fearless, and being able to navigate in this altered state of consciousness through the different realms of the different dimensions that you're allowed to go while you are traveling in ayahuasca. So for a trained shaman that have done many, many, many ayahuasca, when they die, they know where to go. It's easy. They just know where to go because they've been there. So the moment that they leave the body, they are literally in the same feeling as an ayahuasca journey. And then they start traveling. So for many of the teachers that do ayahuasca, they have mapped the ways to go to heaven or to go to particular dimensions or to particular star planets that they have a very deep connection with. So if they want to return to the planet, they just follow that map and they go and find it. So that is a Icaro. Now the shaman, to become a shaman, it is really, that offers ayahuasca, is such a huge responsibility, because it is not just taking the brew. It's about being there for the people that are participating in ceremony. People go into relieving their traumas. People go into seeing and revisiting traumas that happened to them in the early years, and the shaman can see that and helps them processing all of this. So usually, in a real ayahuasquero, in the training in Peru, for example, they don't touch you. They want you to have your own experience and your own processing. But the shaman is responsible for seeing that it is a real process for your life. It's not that you're being attacked in the session by somebody else. They allow you, if something else is coming into the maloca, the sacred ceremonial place, the shaman is responsible for knocking out, everything out of the room. My sweetheart Janice just sent me a message. Oh, this is so coincidental. Today I decided to talk about ayahuasca, and here we are. She just sent me a message that today Maestro Juan is 70 years old. It's his birthday. I didn't know that. Janice, thank you so much. That makes my day. We're all in tune up for some reason. We start talking about something, is because we are in tune. So, as I was saying, the shaman's responsibility is to provide ayahuasca, to create sacred space, to help in the healing process by removing energies and helping move energies out of the people, attachments, entities, and all of that. And also is there to protect the sacred space. So when you are in an ayahuasca ceremony, you will see the shaman literally blowing intrusions coming and moving out of the room. He will get his bottle of Florida water, and he's sending out any intrusions there can be sorcerers that are snipping, trying to get into the ceremony to attack some of their people, because they are envious that this shaman is successful, and they want to hurt their people because that's how they play. And then the shaman, the trained ayahuasquero, is strong enough that he can just deflect those energies and shoot them out and say, don't come here. This is my sacred space. I don't bother you. You don't bother me. Mind your own business, and kicks them out, right? That's why it's so important, because in the spiritual world, you have everything. There are people that use ayahuasca for negative purpose, to open their third eye to do negative stuff. There are brujos, sorcerers, that are hired to do crimes, to hurt people, to create sickness. And this is some of the things that Peru has. And it's unfortunate, and it's fortunate in one way, that there are good shamans, good curanderos, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of that black magic stuff. And it's very sad that they're using their talents not to heal people, but to hurt others. But luckily, the good shamans are always receiving anyone that has any spells and witchcraft, and they are there to break those spells, and they do it very successful because they work with love. And there's nothing that can touch love. Love heals everything and dismantles anything negative, any darts, any daggers, anything, any negative energies, anything like that. So this is the ayahuasca ceremony is very important. Usually they last between 3 hours to 5, 6, 8 hours, depending on how strong the brew is, and the need or the who is guiding the ceremony, what shaman is guiding the ceremony, and the purpose for the ceremony. So I want to talk now the importance of doing this safely in other parts of the world. There's something that's interesting that for me, the last times that my partner and I, Janice, have gone to the rainforest, we felt that the plants was really talking to us. That the plant medicine was supposed to be done only in the rainforest. And by that I can say, maybe the rainforest of Costa Rica, rainforest of Hawaii, rainforest of Peru, the Amazon, Colombia, all the different countries that have rainforests. But we felt the last time that I was there, we were told that it was very important because the plant was being commercialized way too much, and it was becoming not safe, and then the plant was going to be blamed for the death of many people. A couple years ago, we had a Canadian guy that went to one of the Shipibo territories and killed one of the most important Shipibo female elders. And he went gunpoint and killed her, and he got killed by the mob. It was really stupid, but somehow the guy was buying ayahuasca, bringing it to Canada, but not for the right reasons. And apparently the ayahuasca that he bought was stopped somewhere in the border. So he assumed that the Chippewa people had not sent the medicine, and he went down and said, "Where is the medicine?" He said, "I sent it." And he says, "You're not saying the truth." And he ended up killing the mother of the guy that was supposed to send this. And it was so unfortunate, so ugly. I mean, really, really ugly. And this is what's been happening. Many, many problems and with ayahuasca right now. And literally right now, many people are buying ayahuasca from vendors that are not necessarily even ayahuasqueros. So some of the problems that we're having is that the medicine is made with no sacredness. So there's no activation with tobacco. There are no prayers. There's nothing. They're just banging on the ayahuasca wine, putting chacruna, creating this brew, bottle it, and sending it. So that's one of the problems, that most of the people are buying ayahuasca that doesn't have the right intentions. Okay, so from the beginning, the people that are taking ayahuasca are taking a plant that can be detrimental for the ayahuasca ceremony. When it's done this way, most of the time the sessions go into the lower astral. So people are having their experience, and they are journeying and traveling. They are going into the lower astrals and having literally nightmares as sessions. They're not going into the light or things like that. They're having really bad experiences, okay? And this is because there's no sacredness in the preparation. The person that prepares is not a shaman, and also there's bad intentions when they do this, okay? So then the other thing about the safety of preparing this, when you are buying something from the market, for example, in Iquitos is the mecca right now of selling ayahuasca. Number one, they're depleting the ayahuasca plant from the rainforest in the area in Peru. So some of the shamans are very careful and are replanting ayahuasca everywhere, because unscrupulous people are just depleting the vine from everywhere. So and are not planting back the plant. So, and the other thing is, because of competition, vendors here to the vendors across the street, they fight for the people that come over. They say, we have the best ayahuasca. Our ayahuasca is stronger. Ayahuasca will keep you tripping for 8 hours to 24 hours. Our ayahuasca can do this. Our ayahuasca can do that. And it's not, they're treating the ayahuasca plant as a drug. And that is not right. They're taking all the medicine part of the ayahuasca, by treating it in a different way. And to get more effects in having this really brutal purging and brutal thing, they're adding a lot of different things to the mix. They're putting tons of tobacco. They're putting other plants like el floripondio, which is the white-belled plant, and many other drugs into the plant. So people, when they are taking that in the States, in Canada, and Europe, we have heard of people dying or having these awful experiences because, number one, the shaman that is offering the plant in the States, Canada, in Europe, in other places in the world, they are not preparing the medicine. So they are buying the medicine from a supplier, and I don't know, it could be that the supplier is a good supplier because it can be a good shaman from the rainforest, or probably they're just contacting somebody in Iquitos or contacting in any other market that they know that they sell the plant. So not necessarily is the best mix of chacruna and the ayahuasca vine. As I said, sometimes they add on different things, and that can create problems. Instead of being something good, it can create even addiction for some people, because they might be putting opiates, or they might be putting cocaine, or they might be adding other stuff. So I want people to be very, very aware. Don't just go and say, oh, I am going to an ayahuasca ceremony. You have to ask the questions. Who's the shaman? Who is his shaman in Peru, in Colombia, Brazil? Who are the shamans? Luckily, in Canada, there's the Ayahuasca Association of Canada, and there is a blacklist of shamans that you should not go and see in the rainforest of Peru. And I have the names, and if you want to contact them, the Ayahuasca Association of Canada, they will tell you if the shaman that you are being approached by, if it's a good or a bad shaman. There's a list, so you want to know that. You want to do your homework before you go into this experience, because it can be pretty enlightening for some people and be very damaging for other people, okay, depending on the shaman and depending on the mix. Okay, and that brings me, okay, so then some of the people that prepared the medicine are also unscrupulous, and they're sources. So they prepared the medicine with intentions that are not good for the people that are participating in the ayahuasca. So when you are participating, you need to know who prepares that medicine, because sorcerers, they put their medicine besides ayahuasca, so they can come into your session and they can do damage to the people that are doing this. Okay, they create dependency. They have rituals that they do to create dependency, so that you keep coming back for more and more ayahuasca by putting their saliva into the brew, just so people know that this is done, especially for women, and they hook them. So this is done by the sources. So you need to know who is your supplier. It has to be a good ayahuasquero that is in the heart, very loving, that is in the work of ayahuasca as a healer, to help people heal and to help people find themselves and awaken that kundalini energy, right? Some of these mixes with these past intentions, for many people, they even go into the underworld and they travel into places that their spirit gets trapped into there, and they cannot get back. Some people are psychically inclined, they have a third eye open, and then suddenly after doing those ayahuascas, their third eye closes. Or suddenly there's spirits that come into their bedroom, and they are being stalked by spirits, and they are like food for these spirits that are the spirits of these shamans in Peru, Brazil, Colombia, whatever, these sorcerers, and they are food because those spirits give the shaman information. They're evil spirits, and they need to be paid. So the persons are offered in ceremonies as a payment to these spirits for information, money, and power. So, in the world of the invisible, in the world of magic, you need to do your homework and know exactly where is that ayahuasca coming from. If you have a shaman that has trained in Peru, and you are preparing the medicine in any part of the world, but you see when they prepare the medicine that they put the big pan with 15 gallons of water with a lot of ayahuasca vine and a lot of chacruna leaves, and you see it and you see how they reduce it. That's the best thing that you can ever encounter, because that's the real thing. That shaman knows what he's doing. The shaman that buys it, you don't know exactly where it's coming from. You can ask them, but because it's a little bit of a business for them, they are not going to tell you who are the sources, who is the shaman that is providing the medicine, because they're going to think that you're going to take their shaman and then you're going to start doing ayahuasca and you're going to create a business of that. But anyone that is real in offering these ceremonies are very beneficial for many people, especially for addicts of opiates, oxycodone, methadone, any heroin, anything like that, cocaine, any addictions. Ayahuasca is proven that can help people let go of their addiction. So I highly encourage you to investigate that. And I'm going to talk a little bit at the end of my Today of New Earth Radio. I'm going to talk about some people that I fully trust that you might want to contact. A little water for you. This is a little commercial for Pablo Seminario. In Peru, my last trip to Peru, we bought these coffee mugs, and I love them. They brings me back home to the Sacred Valley. Salud. It's just water, by the way. So, as I said, it's important that you know the shaman, that you know who is the shaman and what's going on. Okay. Some of the people that I have been seeing working with ayahuasca in different ways, which are very creative. When I was in Los Angeles, I was able to meet the ayahuasca DJ, and that was a trip. That was different. And the ayahuasca DJ, his people were in white, and they would assist people in their processing. When they were crying, there was a lot of rubbing and holding and kind of this thing. Not usually the kind of things that I see in the rainforest when I work with the real shamans. But this guy is a different kind of shaman, and he called himself the ayahuasca DJ. So there's many people that are doing this. They put some meditation music and offer the ayahuasca, but they're not really shamans. So they are just providing the ayahuasca, and I don't know if they are opening sacred space or not. I don't know if they're using tobacco, and blessing the plant before they offer it to everyone. I mean, there's several different rituals that need to be respected for that experience to be a high vibrational experience, not just playing music. Also, depending the kind of music that you play. Some of these DJs, they go into electronics and disco, and depending on the music, on whoever created the music, there's also intention in the music, and they might see a lot of kaleidoscopic things and psychedelics, and might be pretty nice to hallucinate with that music. But I mean, ayahuasca is deeper than that. It's deeper than that, and and it requires some other different things in ceremony. Another people that I have seen is just laymen, the regular people that they buy the ayahuasca from whoever sources, and they just offer ayahuasca, not claiming that they're shamans. They just buy the medicine and offer it to people, and here and there are great experiences. Here and there's some freaky experiences where they have no control whatsoever of what energy is coming into the place, and suddenly they are open portals, and these entities come in, and they do it in houses with children and things like that, and it becomes a problem because the portal stays open, and they don't know how to get rid of this stuff. So that is really important for people that are doing this and just finding in the internet ayahuasca and they buy it. You need to know where the ayahuasca is coming from and who is going to provide it. I always recommend, if you're going to do plant medicine, do it with a shaman that is trained, that can help you go through the experience, allow you to go out and pull you and will you in at the end. They have to will you back into the room, into your body, and at the end they have to blow tobacco to close your chakras. So they have to blow tobacco on the crown, the third eye, the heart, and the different chakras around you, and they blow it as, as Maestro Juan will do it. Though Agustin Rivas, I used to blow tobacco for him, but in Maestro Juan, what they do is they just and they close your chakras and they blow Florida water and they blow the essence of Florida water and tobacco in your chakras to close them, so nothing gets into your chakra system, into your light body, because there can be attachments. So some people don't understand that. They say, well, I'm going to take ayahuasca because I've been depressed all my life. Okay, there are risks. It's not just taking ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a ceremony. It has to be done in a sacred way. It has to be a trained shaman that knows his Icaros, that works with medicine people from the spirit world, and knows how to send people on a journey and bring them back into the body and close the chakras after the ceremony is done. This is really, really important. So laymen doing this for business. Then we have friends that get together and do it in that manner as well. Then we have holistic practitioners that are exploring plant medicine, and they are seers, and they do this, but they also don't prepare the medicine, and they might be buying from a good source or from a bad source. We don't know. And if they can disclose that, it would be great to know that they are purchasing good ayahuasca that has been blessed in an ayahuasca ceremony in Peru, in Colombia, in Ecuador, in Bolivia, in Brazil. It needs to be blessed. Whatever you're receiving has to be blessed by a shaman. Okay. Then we also have the shamans who import the medicine. So they are traveling shamans, and when they go to Europe, they're traveling, and then they send it by mail and they pick it over there. These shamans can have prepared the shaman themselves, and they have somebody that send it prior to time, or they send it themselves to the place that they're going to visit. And that's okay. That's a shaman knows exactly how he prepared the medicine, and he is a shaman with integrity. He's a good shaman, I suppose, and that's why he's being required to keep coming back. So it has to be a good shaman from Peru or from any of the other countries. And then, the shaman that brews and makes his own medicine and can brew his medicine and offers to people. So you want to be aware of where is that medicine coming from and who prepared it. That's very incredible, an incredible experience, a very safe experience, I would say. Now, there are the people who come to the sessions, right? Some people come for healing, and the way that's been promoted in several different movies, like the Reality of Truth or the Truth of Reality. I can't remember the name of this movie where Deepak Chopra is in it. And actually, I feel that Deepak Chopra is manipulated to say a couple of things. I don't know if they edited this line in the movie, but I thought that was a little irresponsible to just say that line and say, just go to Peru and find a shaman and do ayahuasca. There's many, many people in Peru that offer ayahuasca. And I will tell you, the good people are probably 30% of the people that offer ayahuasca, probably less than that. So just so you know, when Deepak Chopra said that in the movie, I said, oh my God, Deepak Chopra saying this. And I know that they brought the clip in and say, hey, Deepak, so what should people do? He turns and says, go to Peru and find a shaman and do ayahuasca. And they cut to a different clip in the movie. And I thought that was irresponsible by the producers of the movie that now have a center in Costa Rica, and they charge like $10,000 for people coming to the center to do ayahuasca, which I think is astronomically huge and big, right? But anyhow, that was a little side commercial here. Why do people claim that ayahuasca changed them forever? Okay. For many of us that do healing work, I've been involved in healing work for many years. I've done ayahuasca. I trained with shamans that offer ayahuasca. I personally don't do ceremonies of ayahuasca because my gift is the gift of sound, and I bring people into altered states by just doing sound healing and breath work. So combining those two, I get people into have altered state of consciousness, to see colors, to see visions, to connect with their higher self, to connect with who they are, their subconscious mind, to journey and travel the different underworld, middle world, and the upper world. So all of that can be done just with plain sound healing, Icaros, so the sacred chants and calling the spirits of the plants, and also by doing breath work. So, when people are changed forever with one ayahuasca, most of the time, in the way that I explain it, is that these people were carrying entities. There were entities in their body, so they were kind of crippled because they were loaded with energies in their bags, and they were in a lot of pain because these energies feed off the plasma and the energy of the person, and they attach to the spine, or they can be in your light body, in your luminous field. And when you do an ayahuasca process, the ayahuasca awakens the spine. So what happens when the spine is awakened? The spine becomes like a hot rod. It starts spiraling and becomes a hot rod. It's like an iron that has been put to the fire. A blacksmith putting an iron into the fire, and it starts spiraling. And then the entity cannot grab the spine because it burns. It's like that for the entity, okay? So when they start burning and the person has this reaction of feeling that they need to throw up, okay, literally what they're doing is the spine is moving. Ayahuasca is working all the cellular memories of trauma and different things that we have, because trauma will bring entities, it will bring intrusions, as a person could have had an PTSD or susto, what we call in Peru susto, a shocking moment, and where the light body could have collapsed, and then the entity will have come in. So when this happens, the person might have an entity attached, right? And when they do the ayahuasca, and the kundalini activates, and it starts opening the chakras, right, the lower chakras, the person purges, comes through the throat, and throws this entity out. For that person that's been holding an entity for 20-something years or more, right, the difference is humongous, because that entity is released out of the body and is gone. So once that happens, that entity is no longer there. And it is the shaman that has to be able to close those chakras with tobacco, so that entity won't return. Intentionally, the shaman has to put light and close the person so no other entity comes into the body of the person. So those people that have this, I took one ayahuasca and changed my life forever, that's exactly what happened. These are people that were having a very ugly life due to the fact that they had entities, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entities, and they had a terrible life, because people that get close to them, they feel that they cannot get close to them because the entities are very jealous and push people away. So they were loners, living by themselves. They were hearing voices in their mind. They were psychotics, or they were diagnosed as bipolar, or maybe schizophrenics, or any other diagnosis by the medical profession. In many cases, these entities are lodged in the body, and they have moments where they lose consciousness, and the entity hijacks the spine and the nervous system, and then they start speaking through the person, and they're not them. It's an entity. It's an entity that hijacks the person. So when they are going to an ayahuasca ceremony, the spine gets hot, it starts opening the chakras, they start purging, the entity comes out, and they get clear. For them, it's an amazing experience, because the level of energy that they're going to have after that ayahuasca ceremony is amazing. They're going to feel that they are back again into being born again into their bodies, into their lives, and they are all excited after that ayahuasca. And for them, is a transformational, amazing experience. Some other people have elemental energies, and for those people as well, when they release these energies, it's amazing. Some people have witchcraft. And when the Kundalini fires starts moving and the shaman helps in the process of breaking the spells, for them as well, that ayahuasca ceremony is an amazing ceremony because the spell is broken and the person will come back with their meridians running the chi energy through the entire body, with the chakras moving the energy in the right way, and the body reorganizing again and coming to homeostasis and feeling great. Okay, so those people that have these kind of problems after one ayahuasca, it is possible that there's a full transformation because the spells are broken, the spirits are taken out, or sometimes they had susto, which is a shocking moment where a part of your spirit leaves, and then during the ceremony, the spirit returns as the intrusion is brought out, and then a part of you comes back and joins you again. So that means that you feel whole one more time, and you feel great. And one session can do that miracle. Yes. Is it for everybody that does that? No, because it can be people that are just depressed, have no entities, have no laws, nothing, but they're just depressed. And that process might be a little different, might be many ayahuascas to reactivate the full activation, neurological activation that happens with the firing of neurons created by ayahuasca. And that might take not one, but might take several ayahuascas to get that person out of depression. Okay, but if you get in that first session to talk, because the ego self goes to sleep, and you can have a direct dialogue with ayahuasca and talk to your higher self or to God, then you might find the purpose of your life, or you might understand that depression is a choice and you are choosing to feel sick and you want to be sick. And you might say, no, it's not true, but it is a choice. Sometimes our willpower is not strong enough to fight depression, and it's better, easier to just take pills and work depression in that manner. But if you have the choice, you can get better. There's many ways that it's not ayahuasca. Wim Hof will be one of those methods where you start taking cold showers and start activating all your hormones and bringing different, your glands start creating new hormones in your body to make your immune system work better and getting more excited about life. There's many ways of doing it. So as I said, sometimes depression is a choice. And for people that do ayahuasca thinking that they can get rid of depression, it might be, I need to commit to a process of several ayahuascas to get rid of depression. And you can achieve that. It can happen. But it's a choice. You have to commit. You have to take responsibility of your life and that you want to heal, and you can achieve that. That can happen. So ayahuasca, for many people right now, they are taking this very seriously, and I really I'm honored to know people like that. I met many different people that they do regularly a session, a ceremony, and they are working their own personal issues. They have conquered the shadow. They are very comfortable with who they are, and they are able to become the healer because they heal themselves. And that is beautiful when we see people like that are doing the work, and they are helping the earth by doing medicine plants, and they are men and women medicina. They call it hombre y mujer medicina, men and women medicine, men and medicine women, right, by doing this seriously. So those are some of the things that I wanted to talk today, and we talk about the shamans. Okay, some of the issues that I have seen in the last 15 years. Okay, these are just stories. I remember a lady in Los Angeles that she was the sorcerer that she was meeting in the rainforest appears to be very loving, and he had done some spells on her. And this lady every year will have to return 2 or 3 times. He had to see his teacher. I have to go back to see my teacher. I feel bad. I feel bad. And the teacher is a teacher that is banned in Canada. I mean, he can no longer come to Canada because he abused many women sexually, and he was known by putting his saliva and her personal fluids in the mix and trapping women that way, and also trapping their anima. The anima is the spirit of the person, is the light body, and the shamans can call the anima of a person. And once they take anima, spirit, out of a person and they trap it, the person will feel empty and always feel that they need to go back to see the shaman, because during that moment there's something happens. I mean, they fully open, but again they pull the anima after they leave, and they trap them, so they're trapped forever until that spell can be broken. We work with the twin shamans, and they are the most beautiful, amazing women I ever met, with great integrity, great laughter. They pray to Jesus Christ, beloved Mother Mary, and they will get on their knees and pray the rosary when they do their Huachuma ceremony. They were not ayahuasqueras, but they did the San Pedro cactus, and San Pedro will appear to them. I was lucky to see San Pedro with them many times, at least 5 times. And it was just a spectacular, amazing, unreal honor to work with them and to see their spirit guide, San Peter, which is the elder. In San Pedro, the one that appears is an elder. It's a very tall one with a white beard. It looks very, very old in his skin, and it has a white beard. And they will be experts in breaking spells, and I've seen so many witchcraft broken by them where the witchcraft explodes, and you hear that bam, 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 and people getting better from one day to the next one. I mean, with conditions that they needed surgery or they were going to die. And the twin shamans just will heal them with San Pedro, and San Pedro will come and break those spells for them. So, during ayahuasca, in people's stories that I met, people that have come to see me because they were traumatized during the ayahuasca ceremonies in Peru, I want to talk that there are places in Peru that look quite extraordinary, okay? And these places have beautiful write-ups, beautiful photos, great happy people, transform in smiling and all of that. And, I've seen people going to these places, and the shamans that they are run by people that are in the business, right? It's a business of doing these ceremonies, and the shamans that they get is not necessarily ayahuasqueros herbalistas. They hire whoever, and they have no control over the ceremonies. You have to understand the following, that the medicine of ayahuasca is part of the lifestyle of the people in Peru, right, in the rainforest. So when there is gringos or foreign people that buy the land and they build these amazing resorts to have these amazing places to do ayahuasca, the number ones that get really very jealous are the sorcerers, and they are there to disrupt the ceremonies of these foreigners that have these centers. And they do an incredible job by hitting on the shamans and the owners, and the shamans are part of these centers. So most of the time, the participants that come to these beautiful websites, online websites with great stories and everything, the great testimonials and everything, when they go to Peru, the owner is not even there. The real shamans that were there no longer there, and there's some new people that are managing or helping, because some of the people got hit by the sorcerers. So when they do ceremony, They come in and then destroy the people that are there, the participants, visitors, by doing that. And I've been very lucky and honored to help friends that have gone to Peru and had these experiences where their anima, their spirit, was taken away by these sorcerers. Okay, and their third eye was completely closed, and on top of that, they were fed to their bad spirits. So they come back to the States and Canada, and they were followed by these entities that were hungry, and they were eating them alive. They were eating them at night, attacking them, and the people were having nightmares and all these things. So this happens. So ayahuasca is beautiful, but also this can happen, and I think that we need to be aware of these dangers that can happen. The shaman has to be able to bring people back in a safe manner. They need to be able to protect them when there are these intrusions, these sorcerers that come in. The shaman needs to be able to hold a high vibrational frequency space that allows for the tall ones and the beings of light to come in and be there and protecting everyone and healing everyone and awakening people. Okay, so these are some of the important things that I wanted to talk about in this basically new radio show today. And also announce that Vilma Pinedo, my great mentor's daughter, is going to be with us next week. I also wanted to announce that, I am offering Ascending the Sacred Spiral. Is a safe way of opening Kundalini shamanic training that I'm offering in July. And this is going to be the last week of July. Let me see where I wrote it. I wrote it somewhere. I don't have it with me, but it is also going to be in the first week of August. I think it's the 6th, 7th. And in July, it's going to be the 23rd, something of July. It's going to be the direction of the south is going to be broken in 2 weekends. So it's a weekend, and then there's nothing the following weekend, and then the next weekend. So it's going to be July and August that I'm going to be doing it for people that are interested. And we're going to be working with sound healing. I'm going to be teaching sound healing. I'm going to be teaching breath sound healing, working with healing techniques. So people, upon finishing the first direction, you're going to be definitely doing and feeling very comfortable to start your practice on doing one of the many techniques, healing techniques that we're going to be teaching myself and Janice later on with one of her own techniques that is very efficient and works great for her, and people love it. So this is coming pretty soon. It's called Ascending the Sacred Spiral. And I'm going to put the commercial here, so if you guys can see it, it's scrolling down there. And feel free to write the website is Inzen Wellness, INNZ, so ZEN Wellness.com, and /shamanic-apprenticeship. Okay, this is going to be offered. It's going to be a full week, every direction for 2 years. Probably will be able to offer it in 1 year to make it a little faster. But we're going to start with the first directions this year in July, August, and then at the end of the year, kind of like in October, late October, before November, because it gets cold in here. So we also are working in our Insane Wellness to have some beautiful glamping tents for the ones that want to come and camp and do some work, solo retreats. This is available right now. We have our beautiful cabin for 2 people that can come and share the cabin and do their solo retreats. I can offer also guided retreats and help you with that. And also we're going to be having a couple tents, 2 more tents. We have one tent right now that can sleep 3 people. It's a big tent. And we will be buying, we'll also be purchasing some other tents. So the premises are ready for all of you for the hammock meditations. We're starting that not this weekend, but the following weekend. We're going to start in the morning and in the afternoon. We're going to have a couple different setups for people to accommodate for your schedule on I believe it's going to be on Saturdays. And then for the more adventurous ones, we're going to be doing static dancing. I'm going to be offering that for people to come in and doing nice dancing to music that I prepare for this. So this is the kind of music that we're going to be playing, and we're going to be dancing. I'm going to be drumming and singing at the same time, and creating amazing spaces for people to activate their Kundalini, to activate in a safe way. Start activating the Kundalini by clearing all the chakra system. So ascending the sacred spiral is that. We start working in a tantric way. We offered, this way of connecting in a tantric manner, opening the chakras and working with different things, karma from past lives, karma from ancestors, karma from this life. So we work the 3 different karmas, and the techniques that we're using, we can use it for all these different things that we need to clear, because the moment that you are a clear vessel in your system, then you have access to the divine, you have access to a higher self, you have clear access to spiritual guides, and you're guided. You start really finding this connection. And this connection has been basically ruined by many of the spiritual religions. We want to call religions to those methods that keep repeating the same thing and don't provide the spontaneity of spirit. And through awakening the sacred spiral, which is our birthright, as everything in the universe spirals, starting with our galaxy, we move away from the wheels of karma in every single chakra, and we start connecting all these different chakras in the spiral. Yes, we might go back to revisit some wounds from the past, but we will not be trapping in those wheels, repeating old patterns. So this is the training of the shamanic training, is working with our shadow self and prepare this vessel for the great transformation that we are in right now. This is the great big shift. And the clearer you are, the clearer you're going to be to open your full Merkaba and connect with the tree of life, that endless tree of life, and becoming a luminous being, that you've been waiting for to meet again. And that is you in your most authentic self and the most amazing being that you can be. So this is going to be taught in the apprenticeship of Ascending the Sacred Spiral. I have created a method that is very integral and phenomenal to integrate the teachings. And as you open your Kundalini, there's a lot of support when this happens in the dream state, and also interpreting things that you see, your journey, and you experience. So that brings us back, closing this, right, to the importance of when doing ayahuasca with your shamans, that you do integration sessions after, because you need to integrate the visions that you explore, that you journey, and you need to know what that means and what is the meaning of some of these visuals and the things that you visited, because you need to integrate it, linearize this conceptual information that came in through you, through the ayahuasca, and you need to know how to analyze the dream state that you went in and bring all those teachings back. You need to linearize. The left brain needs to understand what happened in your brain in that experience. So with great love, I know I gave you guys a full class. I don't know if you all stay in here, but thank you for being with me. I think I have some people still hanging with me, but I know that many people will revisit this ayahuasca, Safe Ayahuasca class that I offered. And For some of you, and this is what I said that I was going to say at the end, is one of the greatest places where there's incredible support for people having addiction problems is Taquihuasi, a center in Tarapoto, Peru, created by a psychiatrist by the name of Jack Mabit. And Jack Mabit is a fantastic shaman, adopted by the rainforest teachers in Peru, and he created this center over 20 years. He's been in Peru, in Tarapoto, with Taquihuasi, offering ayahuasca ceremonies, and I forgot that the music was very loud, but he's been offering ceremonies and offering 9 months of healing for people who are addicted with a 60% rate of success. This is unseen in all over the world, with all the rehab centers for this addiction, opiate addictions in the States, in Canada, and Europe. But in Peru, there are centers, good centers, that I have also information, like Mayantuyacu, Jack Mabit, that is offering these programs for people to heal from addiction. So if you need information regarding the things that I talk about, feel free to connect with me, and we can schedule some time to help you in your process. If you do an ayahuasca in the States, in Canada, and you need to integrate your experiences because you don't know what happened, or you have questions about things that happened to you, if you happen to have some freaky experiences and you feel that you're missing something, please connect with me through our website. Send me an email. We are at insensewellness@gmail. So insensewellness@gmail.com. You can send an email and send me your number so I can call you and connect with you and get some answers to your problems if there's something that happened during your ayahuasca ceremony. Very happy to help. I know I really I'm honored to see people doing plant medicine and doing it in the right way. And sometimes people encounter these kind of problems, and I have done a lot of healing and work with Peruvian shamans for many, many years, and trained with them. Even though I don't offer ayahuasca ceremonies, I offer sound healing, ayahuasca, dry ayahuasca ceremonies with the Icaros, with no plant, but helping people open their kundalini and having these experiences connecting with your higher self, which is the same that happens with ayahuasca. So sending you blessings, lots of love. Don't forget to tune in next week. We have Vilma Pinedo, great shaman from Peru, from Huasao, city of Cusco, Machu Picchu, the land of the Inca. So join us next week. I love you, and have a safe week this week. And don't forget to give us some comments in YouTube. If you can go to YouTube and just subscribe, and that will help my channel there to continue bringing great information about great healing and awakening in these great times that we are experiencing right now. Blessings, much love. Take a lot of water, take it easy. There have been some major solar events happening, sequences like 10 different solar winds and coronal mass ejections in the last 2 days that are happening right now. I feel in the heart when the sun explodes and is very charged to explode. I feel it like something is ready to explode inside of me. And then suddenly, boom, all these solar flash or solar things happen. Not solar flash, but solar winds and coronal mass ejections. So be aware to take these moments, take it easy, whatever you feel in your body. Take a lot of water, take some time to slow down and ask Father Son to help you process whatever you need to process to clear from your physical body. Because if you're feeling intensity, it's because there's some things you need to clear. So sending you love and light, and have a wonderful, wonderful night. I see Franz coming through here. Franz, big hug to you, brother. Miss New Hampshire big time. We haven't been able to cross the border for a year and a half, and missing a lot of people around the world. Much love to all of you that are listening. Have a beautiful, beautiful evening. It's almost been like 2 hours. I didn't expect you going that far. and so late, but I guess it's needed, and things were happening with things that were coming through tonight for all of you. Much love, much light in Divine Resonance. Good night. New Earth Radio with Pierre Garreaud. Bye-bye.